to Amethyst Star Crafting. My name is Jane Allmark and I'm a UK independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. And welcome today to my Christmas countdown on a budget. And this is project number 2. So we are looking at the Beauty and Joy stamp set, which is incredibly budget friendly. You've got 13 different stamped images in this one, and it covers not only Christmas, but it covers birthdays, anniversaries, and it covers thank yous as well. So really versatile stamp set. It is on page 51 of the autumn winter catalogue, and it is £15. So it's incredibly budget friendly, and that's what we're doing at the moment. So this is our budget Christmas countdown. So we are going to make today a really cute little tea light holder. Now, the reason that I decided to do the tea light holder is because I have been buying different types of tea lights. So this tea light has got these lovely little snowflakes on, and they came in a set of, I think, 9, but they're quite deep and relatively shallow. And I've got other tea lights. So this is a scented tea light, which you can see is narrower and just a tad wider. And then this one again is quite narrow, but it is just a tad wider again. So you can get tea lights in different shapes and sizes. So I thought I'd make a box that would cater for one of these ones, which is quite deep. Or you could get 2 little ones. This is a scented and non-scented, but you could get 2 little ones in there quite comfortably, and it would still close. And I've done a little window on it because I thought it would be quite sweet, particularly if you buy a fancy tea light. And again, make a nice little gift for Christmas. So let's get started on it. It is a little 1.5 inch cubed box. So the first thing we need to do is we need to cut a piece of cardstock, which is going to measure 6.5 inches by 4.5 inches. Again, you can get 2 out of 1 sheet of cardstock. So again, very budget friendly, which is what we're looking for in this series. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to decorate this. So it's a piece of plain white cardstock. You can use any cardstock you want. You can use thick cardstock. You can use thinner cardstock. It's entirely up to you. This is our Whisper White cardstock because it's really nice for stamping on. So we are taking garden green this time, and we are going to take this stamp here because I really love the variegation on the leaves. I think it's absolutely beautiful. Now you can see that this one has been well used. So it's been used on the reds, and it does stain them. It makes absolutely no difference in the actual the way it works. It just gives it a well used look. So we're going to ink it up and literally just work our way across from one end to the other. So we're just going to stamp as close as you can to each one of them. Now you could do this before you've scored it. I've just done the scoring just to save a little bit of time, but we'll go over that. You can see that you can just sort of, because it's got a little piece out of it, you can sort of turn it around as you go, so you can fill in as much of the area as you can. Doesn't matter if you don't get all of it. Again, I would wait a little moment once you've stamped it, because it's this distinctive one. If you don't wait a little bit of time, it's very easy to get ink on your fingers. So once you've finished it, I would leave it for a little while, or let's try and get that one in the centre there. It doesn't matter if a few of them go over the top. It is supposed to be relatively random. So you're just literally just taking it as much as you can up over the sides and the edges like that. But again, if you have a juicy ink pad, which this one is, you just have to be careful because you might get a little bit on your fingers. So just sort of take it down. The nice thing is that with it being leaves, you can rotate it and get sort of a complete pattern. If you've got little pieces missing, it doesn't really matter, because the idea is for it to be quite a random sort of look across there. So I'm just going to clean this off and put it back in its case. So this is the only one that we're using on this one today. But again, it's ideal for doing all sorts of backgrounds. Now, I'm doing this one that could be used for Christmas because we're doing the Christmas countdown. However, you could use it for any time of year, any box. It makes a lovely background. So now we are going to do the scoring on this. I know I'm doing it a bit the wrong way round, but you would do your scoring, you would stamp it first, then let it dry, then do your scoring. So this is a little bit wet, but on the let's do it on the long side. So on your 6.5 inch side, you are going to score it at 1.5 inches. You are going to score it at 3 inches. You are going to score it all the way down. You are going to score it at 4.5 inches all the way down. And you are going to score it, I'm just making sure I'm in. Yes, I am. Look at that. And you are going to score it at 6 inches. Okay, so that again is 1.5, 3, 4.5, and 6, and then rotate it onto the short side, and you're going to score it at 1/2 inch. You are going to score it at 2 inches. You are going to score it at 3.5 inches. Okay, and that's all the scoring that you need to do. Again, if you don't have a scoreboard, you can always use a ruler, you know, something sort of straight to be able to do it. But I think a lot of us will have bone folders. Now you can see my ink's a little bit wet, so I would have waited just a little bit longer, but because I want to do this project, I'm not. So when I'm scoring it, I'm actually going to press it down and be careful not to get my inks in. So as I say, leave it for a little while for your ink to dry before you score it, because as you can see, I'm getting ink on there, depending how juicy your ink pads are. My ink pads are pretty juicy, but it doesn't matter on that. So we're just scoring it on all of the folds, and this is going to be a 1.5 inch cubed box. So let me just get that one in there as well. Okay, so now if we look at it, we have a little piece at the top here, we have a little piece at the side here, and we've got a smaller square at the bottom, so it's more of a rectangle. So what we are going to do is we are going to cut up each one of these. So just cut them straight up. And we're going to turn it round on the other side, and we're going to do exactly the same thing. Now this little tiny piece and this big square, we're going to cut up both of those. So we're going to cut this up to the centre, like that. Cut this one up to the centre. that one up to the centre. Now you can wedge it in if you want to, just a little bit, and I will show you, because these are all squares, it's more difficult to work out which one you're going to do. Okay, so we've done that. If you look at the top, there are two little pieces here, right at the top, and we need to take both of those out. Okay, so these are the tiny little pieces on there, and we just need to take both of those out like that. Okay, so that's those ones. And then these are going to be our bottom pieces. So if we close it up, as we do on all our boxes, this is going to be our seam at the back. So we want that at the back, and we want this piece at the front. So what we're going to do is we are going to cut this not completely off. We're going to cut it just about in half, like that, because we want this piece to fold in so that this edge becomes a little neater and it gives a little bit more strength to the box. Okay, so we can take this piece that's going to go in on here, and we can, if we want to, we can take some wedges out of every alternate one. So let me just make sure that I've got that cut up in on here. So we can have this one, we can just wedge into like that. That one we won't, so we'll wedge into this one. Oops, nearly took that to the side. Doesn't need to be too big, but just a little bit, because it helps with the closing on it. Cut that one out. Okay. And then on the lids, it doesn't matter because we're going to do them slightly differently anyway. So with this little flap, we are going to glue this down onto here. Now, if you are using wet glue, which I will show you because I always use wet glue, you have to be quite careful because wet glue is water-based and our inks are water-based. So if you've got quite a detailed image, you need to be careful that it doesn't bleed it through. You can use snail, which won't, but I thought because I always use wet glue, I would show you. You just have to be a little bit cautious, otherwise you will get it sort of everywhere. Okay, so that's the basis of our box in on here, and we are going to take these. That's our back. So we want this on here, this on here, this on here, this on there. Okay, so we can do that and literally just put a piece of the wet glue on here, like that. It's not quite got up into that little corner. Let's put that in on there and just sort of square it up as you go. But you can see how it makes a lovely pattern on the box. I really do like this this one on here. Now this piece here, we are going to tuck this piece in because it will give a neater finish to it. So if we just put the glue down on here like that, and then just fold this piece straight in and fold it flat, it just gives a little bit of a neater finish on there. And as I say, excuse that I've got the green on my fingers and it's coming off a little bit. Okay, so then what we need to do is, we've got that glued on there, we need to cut a little window in this top piece. Now I'm keeping these pieces back for the moment, and we are going to, the easiest thing to do is to cut a little, I've got my 1-inch punch, and all I need to do is to cut a little circle. Now this piece that we've just taken off, I can just put this in and just cut a little template out of there. Okay, so if I then take that and I'm going to stick it, because we want it right in on the center, so I'm going to stick it, I can put it that way up so we can see it. So I'm literally just going to adhere it with a bit of glue because it's going to be cut completely out. We just want it to stick. And we're going to line that up as centrally as we can. So take that so it's central, and then just pop that down. And then we're going to take our punch in, which will fit quite nicely into, says me, I've got that little piece in there. So yeah, we're going to fit our little punch in, and we're going to take the punch in so it just comes in that centre piece. So we've got it lined up, and then we're just going to punch it through. And we've now got our little circle that we want in the top. So now we can put a little tiny piece of acetate on there. So if you haven't got acetate, you can take any packaging that is completely clear, and all you're going to do is to take a little square piece out of there. So I'm just cutting a little square piece out because you can't really see acetate, because the idea of it is that it's clear. But as I say, any little bit of packaging will work, and that then is going to go in onto the centre. Now you can put it on with glue dots. You can put it on with, oh, that's just about working on there. I'm going to put this one on with, I think I'm going to put it on with a couple of glue dots, or I could put it on with a little bit of snail. Let me have a look and see what I've got, which is handy to take all my bits. I've got all my drawers open because I'm doing various bits today. So I'm going to take it with a little bit of snail, I think. So let's, just for ease, I would probably do it with glue dots and things, but you only really need to just have a little tiny piece down on the side to just hold it in. So I'm doing sort of half on and half off, because it's literally just going to be a little bit of a window. So let me just take it up onto the other side. It's really difficult to see it because obviously it's completely clear, but just doing it right on the edge piece. And then we can put that in just so that it comes over our little piece here, and that gives you a lovely little acetate window in there. Then when we put these pieces in on the side, we need to obviously take them off from here like that. Let's take them halfway across to start off with so you can see. If you just had them like that, when you close your box, you can't see it. So the best thing to do is to work out the actual size that you're doing it, and to just cut them just with a little tiny piece on the side like that, as long as you've got a little piece for it to close. So take that off and just put a little piece like that. Now this piece at the front, if you just angle it, it then won't catch as it closes. So I'm just taking just a little nip off of there. You don't need to worry about it on the back. But let's take our pretty tea light, which is the big deep one. Pop that one in. Then when you oh, and the little piece at the front as well, you just need to nip that off as well, because if you nip that, it helps it close a bit better. So it is literally just a little nip, and then that will close in like that. And then you've got, let me put all the rubbishy scrappy bits out of the way, so we don't want all of these. It's the good thing about grid paper, it means that you can pop everything away afterwards, and you keep your work surface fairly clean. So you've now got your lovely little box in there, which you can open up. You've got your tea light in there. So we've got one in that one, which, as I say, is this lovely pretty one. So if you've got pretty tea lights, you can keep the window. If you haven't got pretty tea lights, you don't necessarily want the tea lights to show, then you don't need to, and you can leave the window out. But a very sweet, easy little project. You know, make a few of them, put them in a nice little box, and you've got a nice little gift to give as just a little thing for Christmas. So thank you so much for watching me on number 2 of my budget Christmas. And remember, we're using Beauty and Joy all of this week, and it is only £15, so it is an absolute bargain, and you can do so much with it. So thank you so much for watching me. Do look forward to seeing you again. Bye bye.